Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to the Hindu analysis on Byjus exam prep IAS. Today's date is 28th February and before I start the discussion for the day, let me make a very important announcement. I had made this announcement yesterday also and again I am repeating. As you all know, coming Saturday, I am going to do a free workshop for every one of you on the same platform, that is our YouTube channel, BYJU'S IAS. The workshop's timing is 6 p.m. in the evening. Date is 2nd March. It would be a live workshop and the topic of the workshop is how to prepare for the UPSC Civil Services Examination 2025. Remember, it's a free workshop. Please attend it. Set a reminder now and clarify all your doubts with regards to this exam. If you are a serious candidate preparing for 2025, it is a must attend workshop for all of you. Apart from this, two other announcements which we usually do. As I said yesterday also, this Saturday onwards, we are starting our new batch in Delhi Center. This batch is Conmix weekend batch and would be taken by Dr. S.P. Jha. Last announcement, if you have any doubts, you want one-on-one counseling, you can always fill the forms and we would be more than happy to help you. These forms are embedded with this particular lecture. You can click on them, fill the form and do avail the counseling with us. Let us begin with the discussion for the day. Now, today's newspaper was a challenging newspaper. Trust me, the more I was reading and every newspaper, every news item seemed to be very, very important. I took 10 articles that I'll be covering from the perspective of mains. Now here, the first three are all concerning the space technology. Yesterday also we had covered them. And if you remember, yesterday only I had said that Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi is going to announce the names of those pilots who would be going with the Gaganyaan project. So the 4 IF pilots were named as possible Gaganyaan crew. Second article, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also announced that India is going to have its own space station by 2035. So two very, very important announcements. Both of them are related to each other, space technology. Third article, basically this is an editorial burden of power which has come in today's Hindu Newspaper Analysis, and personally there is hardly 1 or 2 points which we have to take out from this lecture and I'll of course be telling you that. Now the 4th, 5th, 6th article, they are interrelated. The HCES full results to be out by June. So Saturday only this was out and we shall see, we shall analyze some of the points that have been brought out by this analysis. So for example, SBI, State Bank of India, reckons that the poverty levels have gone down and have come to 4 to 5%, as well as the fact that the spending on food items have dropped. Now many people, economists say, when the spending reduces, that is, if overall spending on food as a percentage is going down in a family, it reflects that the family is becoming economically better. We'll see what exactly is the truth here. And of course, the 6th article is again an editorial on the same thing, where the Hindu newspaper, the people who have written on that, they are pointing out to some lacunas as far as the data is concerned. 7th one, Supreme Court issues contempt notice to Patanjali and its MD, Mr. Balkrishna. Of course, we'll talk about Yoga Guru Ramdev Baba also here, and we shall see what exactly is Patanjali doing for which Supreme Court is not entirely happy with them. And under this, we shall also see an act which guides all these sorts of advertisements. Moving ahead, the 8th topic, Ladakh administration forms recruitment board for non-gazetted posts. Now, if you all remember, a few days back we had studied in Ladakh there is an agitation going on where they are demanding certain things like full statehood. They are asking for 2 parliamentary seats. But beyond that, they were also asking for a board, and the union government has accepted to one of their demands. So this is a repeated topic. We shall see this. 9th one, European Union is wary as Macron hints at Western troops in Ukraine. Now, French president is saying we are not going to stop. We are going to completely support Ukraine in their war against Russia, and if that requires European Union to send its troops on the Ukrainian soil, we shall do that also. But then, let me tell you, in this, the other allies of EU or other members of EU, some of the members of NATO, they are not fully agreeing with Mr. Macron. So we shall see that what exactly is playing out over there. Last topic, Israel is ready to pause its war in Gaza during Ramzan. Joe Biden yesterday was eating ice cream, and while ice cream eating, he made, when this whole thing was going on, he has said that most probably Israel will halt its operation. Now, if I tell you personally, today is the second last day of the February. In February alone, I would have covered Israel at least 6 times. And we are going to again see in a very brief manner what exactly is going to happen over here. Apart from this, for prelims, 4 topics. 10,000 genome project completed, says government. Very, very important project. Trust me, a very, very important project for your exams. Questions on this have come in the previous exams also. I was talking to Rashesh before coming for this lecture, and I asked that you teach science and technology. Tell me, how important is this topic? And he said, look at the PYQs. I would not say every year, but he said that a lot of questions in mains and prelims have come on this. Very, very important topic. Of course, Simlipal seeks more female tigers from other regions. Now, those who know environment and biodiversity, you all know these topics become very, very important. And here we shall see why Simlipal is asking for more female tigers and what is the special thing about the tigers of Simlipal. The 13th topic, railways restores passenger train fares, and the 14th, the plant that wants to be left alone. That is, the plant's name is Touch Me Not. So, what is the mechanism that guides Touch Me Not to be Touch Me Not? So, that's the thing that we are going to talk. 14 topics. Let us dive deep into all of these. Let us look into them one by one. Now, first topic, yesterday only we said, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi yesterday was going to announce the name of the pilots who would be forming the crew of the Gaganyaan project. Now, who are these 4 gentlemen? You can see their pictures are here. They are IAF pilots, Indian Air Force pilots, Group Captain Prashant Balakrishnan Nair, Group Captain Ajit Krishnan, Group Captain Angad Pratap, and Wing Commander Shubhanshu Shukla. Now, personally, they are doing great job. Whatever amount of praise we do for them, that would be less. But from the UPSC's perspective, maybe we do not have to remember their names. So if you ignore the names from the perspective of the exam, it's okay. Now, all these people you can see, they have been trained at the astronaut training facility, which is established by ISRO in Bengaluru. So you can see, yesterday also, if you remember, I had talked about different facilities of ISRO at different places. So yesterday we talked about Thiruvananthapuram, we talked about Mahendragiri, we talked about Sriharikota. Of course, Bangalore also, they have this facility. Now, these people, you all know, out of them, some would go for the space flight mission, the human space flight mission, which is projected to happen in 2025. Now, this is a repeated thing. Yesterday, when the Prime Minister was making this announcement, he made this announcement from Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram. Everyone, yesterday I had done this in great detail. I had talked about Thumba, which is near your Thiruvananthapuram. So I'm not repeating this topic today. So, coming back to this again, Prime Minister has announced the names and the final crew will be based out of or will be from these four. Now, you all can understand this is such a prestigious mission. This is going to be such a great landmark event for ISRO, for India, for everyone associated with this. So, this selection process was very, very rigorous. All these people initially were trained in Russia and later they all were given the training at astronaut training facility. Now you all can see Prime Minister, while congratulating them, he had yesterday presented them astronaut wings also. So all this was done yesterday. Now just slight bit about Gaganyaan. You all know this is a mission which has been designed to demonstrate indigenous capacity. See, Atmanirbhar Bharat may have started with 1905 Swadeshi movement. Trust me, history comes everywhere. But then, it is an ongoing process. Everywhere, it's an ongoing process, and here also, this mission of Gaganyaan, where we are going to undertake human space flight mission to low Earth orbit from here onwards, we'll mention them as LEO. Now, this mission is expected to pave way for a sustained Indian human space exploration program in the long run. So, for again, this, the crewed mission had gone through various tests. In this article, some of the names of the tests are mentioned. For example, integrated airdrop tests. Similarly, vehicle missions, etc., etc. We don't have to get into this, but then these tests are mentioned. Again, I'm saying Prime Minister saw the progress of this Gaganyaan mission, reviewed the progress of this. And if you all remember, in yesterday's newspaper, we saw that Prime Minister was going to dedicate 3 very important facilities to the country. So you all can see 3 technical facilities which have been made at a cost of 1800 crore to the nation were given or were dedicated to the nation. I'm not talking about them today because you all can see 27th February we covered, this is yesterday's article, the 3 missions being here: Trisonic Wind Tunnel, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle Setup, and the Semi-Cryogenic Integrated Engine and Stage Test Facility. All these 3 had been dedicated to the nation by the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, yesterday. So this was the first article of the day. Now, if you all see in this article only, in corner you can see India will have its own space station by 2035, says the Prime Minister. So the second topic of the day is, you can see on page 16, again related to science, India to have its own space station by 2035. Now, I have taken out the crux of this. What all are the important points under this article? So, again, Prime Minister has made an announcement that India would again try or would go to moon. And this time we would bring samples from the lunar surface. He has also announced that ISRO has plans for Venus also. That is, Venus is on its radar. We would try to go or, send the spacecrafts to Venus also. Third, this time our mission to moon would involve an Indian astronaut who would land on the moon using an Indian spacecraft. Again, you can see a lot of thrust on Make in India. Lastly, the Prime Minister said that after 40 years, first time an Indian is about to go to space. Now, my first prelims question for you. Everyone, tell me the name of the person, the Indian man who had been the first Indian to go to the space. Hopefully, you all will be very easily answering this question. The tougher question is, can you tell me the name of the Soviet spacecraft with which he had gone to the space? Comment in the box Within 2 minutes, I'll tell you the answer. You have 2 minutes to comment for that. Coming back to this, you can see the Prime Minister is saying, this time, that is when we are going to do it again, this time, the time is ours, the countdown is ours, the rocket also is ours. So it is we who would decide when do we want to do it, how do we want to do it, and this time it would be all according to us. Last time we had been relying on a very good friend of ours, Soviet Union. Again, they are helping us now also, but then more or less these are indigenous projects. And clearly, every one of us, we have to understand this is a proud moment for the 140 crore people. Because when Gaganyaan, if it goes, it is going to fulfill the aspirations of all these people. So, please understand, this lunar mission that Prime Minister is saying, he has said that we would try to do it by 2040. And this time, as I said, an Indian astronaut would be going on this. Hopefully by now, you all have given me the answer. I have given you the picture. This is the first man who had gone to space from India. The name, Rakesh Sharma, in the year 1984. And for those who have given the name of the spacecraft of USSR, the name of that is USSR Soyuz T-11. So this was the last time when we had gone into space. An Indian going is like everybody going, because our aspirations are linked with all of them. But this time, as the Prime Minister says, this again, the person would be Indian, the rocket would be Indian, or the spacecraft would be Indian, and this would give us a huge pride in the historic achievements of the nation. So, on land, on air, on water, and now on space, everywhere, Indians are going to achieve a lot of success. So, this is what the Prime Minister yesterday had said. With this, the second article is done. Now, let us move to the third article. On the page 10, on science, burden of power, there is an editorial. Personally, if you think, or if you will read this article, I thought that I could have ignored this article also. Because the thrust of this was, they are saying, in order to search for superpower status, we should not drive India's space exploration. So, I'll tell you very frankly, sometimes you have to disagree. I personally felt I was not agreeing to this particular article. But then, as a teacher, my likes or my dislikes should not dominate my proceedings. It should be neutral. And that's why I brought this article also. So in this article, basically, they are saying yesterday Prime Minister made this announcement, and that was the last jigsaw, in the puzzle, the last thing which was needed. So now with that, our Gaganyaan project is going to be, going to achieve whatever it wants to achieve in 2025. But before that, in this article, it is mentioned that in 24 and 25, 2 test flights would be conducted. And then only in 25, this crewed project would be done. Now, in this article, in the first part, they are praising that if you look at the past, ISRO's achievements have been stupendous. And now with the fact that we are planning for a crewed mission, and the fact that the names of this crew is out in the open, we are in the last mile of our achievements. Here the editorial says that we faced a lot of roadblocks. And if you look at the roadblocks only in the last few years, are some of the roadblocks where, for example, COVID pandemic, that was one big. Of course, ISRO has other priorities like its commercial commitments. because of which sometimes delay happens. But then that's justified. ISRO is doing a stupendous job over there also. Now in this article, the other point that they are writing is, you can see here the 2 test flights which I mentioned. They are saying that nobody should be naive to believe that this such a big project would be devoid of political culture or political capture. But then they are saying that politics should not only navigate these projects. Now I personally feel, see, politicians do politics, but then when it comes to space, when it comes to exploration, India's history for the last 75 years, or you make it 60 plus from the time INCOSPAR was started, has always been very good, that we have given almost 100% support. Whoever has been in the power, they have given 100% support to ISRO. And that's why here in this article, they have mentioned a Indian space policy of 2023. Now, I cannot go into this because of the time limitations, but you people definitely study about this in your paper 3, Science and Technology, Space Technology. Now, under this, they are saying that ISRO has to do R&D in order to maintain India's edge as far as human space flight is concerned. And they are also mentioning that this would become a roadmap for a sustained human presence in space. Now, this much is basically, or is still here. Now they are saying in this article, they are mentioning that, and I'll take another page. Okay, not here. Another point that they are raising here is that this culture of space exploration that is going on should not be motivated by geopolitical aspirations. Now, here is my problem with this article. I personally feel that space research, of course, novelty, of course, the good work, everything is okay. But then, personally, if our aspirations are being guided by geopolitical aspirations, I don't think there is any wrong thing. In this article, they are saying that countries like China, they are way ahead of us when it comes to technology. But they are saying that India must keep focus on scientific exploration, try to expand human horizon, and not achieve some, the word is space superpower status. Now, personally, my point again would be here. India has already achieved a space superpower status by the deeds that we have done in the last few years. And if you look at entire gamut of 60 years, there is no doubt when it comes to the space technology, India, in spite of a lot of times not getting the sort of cooperation that we expected from the Western world, we have been achieving a lot, will keep on achieving a lot. And again, no disrespect to whoever has written this article, I personally believe we should be a superpower when it comes to space. Of course, a responsible superpower, not a superpower who is only worried about their own country, but we should always, and we have always thought about views with the concerns of Vasudev Kutumbakam. The whole world is one big family. If today India is achieving something, trust me, we will be helping lots of many countries, many of those poorer countries who might not have had this much technology. So with this, your first topic, 3 articles are done. The fourth one, HCES. Now, those who do not know the full form, H stands for household, C for consumption, E for expenditure, S for survey. Now, the thing is, on Saturday, today we are Wednesday, that is 4-5 days ago, the statistical ministry, they came up with some data. They haven't come with the full data, but then center, their ministry has released, and they are saying they have released only some findings right now. Complete findings, they are saying we will release in 3 months' time. So this survey is for the year 2022-23, and the big thing is this survey, this data is coming after almost a 11-year gap. So last time it was done was around 2011-12. So after that it is being done. Now the importance of this is that it helps in several economic indicators, including the CPI, the GDP, and then when the 2 consecutive surveys will be there, they would be able to do it much more appropriately. That is, comparisons would become easier. Now why is this mentioned? Please understand. Last time's survey, the methodology, the indicators, they were very different. So even the researchers, the statisticians, they are saying we cannot compare it exactly this to that. They both are fruits, but one is apple, another is a mango. So let us wait for 2 numbers and then we can, do a better survey. For example, I've given you one example. Last time in 11-12, 347 items were there. This time there are 405 items. So this is one topic on this. The other topic on the same is, I'll come to this graphs, give me a second. SBI reckons poverty levels have gone by 4.5%, spending on food items have dropped. So these are some of the, I would say, findings of SBI, and at the national level, the banks is saying the poverty range has come down to 4 to 5. And the third article on the same is decoding the spending, where the editorial is slightly critical, is pointing out to few lacunas or few things that they think are not correct with the entire data. Now, I've said earlier also, please always remember, everyone, data is what? Data is the numbers which you want to represent, and that's why a lot of times we say it hides more, reveals less. So how you are going to present the data, it will appear like that. Let's say I said, for a second, imagine, those who follow cricket, I said, do you know XYZ cricketer had the biggest average in the last test series? Everybody would be, my God, oh great. But then below it was, when you looked into data, deep dived into that, you get to know that that cricketer had only played 1 inning and he got that high average. So you can see the headline is misleading, because when you deep dive into the data, what do you find is that cricketer played only 1 match. That's why his average would have been very, very high. So personally, I love cricket. I can tell you, there is a cricketer named Deepak Shodhan. He was an Indian cricketer. Look at his average. How did his average become so high? Nothing against him. I'm only citing him as an example. Coming back to this, I have taken some maps or I would say your data from the print here. You can see here 3 tables again from the print, and the third one is also from the print. Before I get into this, let me tell you something. First of all, it is only a part of survey that has been told right now. Please understand, complete survey would be completed by July. Results would be out early 2025. So, first thing I hope you understand, this is only a sample, a small part which the government has released. Now, why are we so focused? Why are we so worried about HCES? Basically, this is a survey usually conducted every 5 years. Why do we conduct this survey? In order to gather information about consumption of goods as well as services in the households. Of course, beyond this, they also capture age, they capture the profile of the members of the household. Which ministry is responsible for this? The ministry is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And they only have released this report. Some parts of this has been released. Rest of the items most probably would be released only after the elections. So around 3 months time they would take. Now just to give you how many people were sampled, because again you need to know that also. So remember, 2.76 lakh plus households were sampled here. These households were both rural as well as urban. In both the rural areas, in the urban areas, this survey was done, and the timing of this survey was August 2022 to July 2023. So this survey was done in this period. So remember this, that this is the period of the survey. Now, if you see here, Center has not released the complete data. But after 11 years, I mentioned somewhere 11 years, not written here, whatever data has come is a big deal. Why? Because you all know the 2021 census has not been done. So in the absence of any census data, we were till now relying on the last HCES, which was done almost 11 years ago. And only when the full data is there by June, July, we would know about much of the points. Based on the data which has come right now, first thing that comes here is, you can see, and I've taken the help of print over here, they are saying that the families in northeast and southern states, they spend much more on an average. Now you can see this is your, I'll change the pen color, let's take black. This is urban. So dark orange is urban, light one is rural. So you can see here, south and northeast, they are almost here. That they are both around 7,500 rupees. If you compare that to north as well as west, they are around mid 6,500, though west is higher than north. And you all can see the least is in the eastern states, which is less than 5,000 when it comes to your urban areas. If I have to remember it, you can see this all India excluding south, this is the average. Clearly I can see two areas are doing wonderfully well when it comes to this. East is clearly very behind, far behind than the south and the northeast, and somewhere between are the north and the east, north and the west. Other thing is, they are saying the rural urban gaps in monthly private consumption expenditure has come down. So if you see this gap, historically highest it was, if you look at the last almost 25 years, highest it was in the year 2004-2005. From there onwards, you can see clearly this graph is going down. That means the urban-rural divide is becoming narrower with every day. But then, clearly after 2011, this divide has been going down in a very quick pace. Because here you can see, the slope is not that steep, but now the slope has become very steep in the last almost 10-11 years. So this is a good thing. Now this is difference between the urban and rural MPCE, that is monthly private consumption expenditure, percentage difference from rural. Now again, this is from the print. The third thing, average monthly expenditure has tripled in the last decade. So if you see 9900, 486 rupees was, and green is rural. From 486 coming to 3860, I would say almost a 7 to 8 times. If you take it only last decade, from 1430 to 3860, it's almost 2.7 times. Compared to the urban areas, 2630, it has gone to 6521. again I would say it's more like a 2.5 times increase that has happened in the urban area. Compare it to 25 years ago, from 855 they have come to 6521, which is almost a 7.5 times increase. So clearly it's good. The numbers are promising. Now the thing is, as I said, this data becomes very, very important. Why? Because this lets us decide the CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, helps us in the GDPs and all. So they will help us in updating all these. But then, as I said at the very beginning, you cannot do a comparison because it's not a straightforward comparison. Even the statisticians, they are saying, because the methodology in the last 10 years has changed. For example, the questions or the questionnaire has changed. The approach has changed. As I said earlier, there were 347 items which were covered. Now we are covering 405 items. So you cannot have a direct comparison here. But then in the editorial, in the article, the statisticians are saying that let us do this, for 2 years. For example, 2022-23 and 2023-24. And once we do the surveys based on the same parameters, we would have better comparison points. And once you have better comparison points, you would get a much more appropriate year, much more appropriate period for the revision of the base year. Hopefully, every one of you know what is base year. It's a very simple term of economics. If you know, please tell me in the comment section. Now, as I said in this article, another news item is that the rural poverty has declined from this to this percentage. Now, this is a number. Rural poverty. It is now this much. It was this much around a decade back. Urban poverty has gone down from 4.6 to 13.7 in the same period. And this is the observation of State Bank of India's research team. Now, at the national level, the banks are saying that this should be in the range of 4 to 5%. That is the poverty. In India, only 4 to 5% people should be poor. This is the assumption, or this is the idea that is being given by the State Bank of India. Though they are saying they believe poverty would go further down, they believe this thing. Now everyone, when we used to prepare, we used to study about different methodologies to decide the poverty lines and all. I still remember one very, very famous one was the Tendulkar poverty line. This is the official, poverty line estimate which was given around 2012. And then this committee had said that the rural MPCE less than 1816 should be classified as the poor people. That means if anyone is earning less than 816 rupees in a month, they are poor. If you bring it to 30 days, it's basically anyone earning less than 27 rupees is poor. This was the poverty line that was talked about here. Now please understand, in this presently they have not talked about any line as such, that below this if you are earning you are poor, above this you are earning you are rich. Nothing of that sort has been talked about. One major and very interesting thing that has come out is that the major food items, the expenditure on that share of the food is declining in the rural areas. And if that happens, clearly the economists are saying that the consumer price index, the inflation there, the weightage of food has to be brought down. And if that comes down, clearly inflation would also come down. So this is the observation of the economists. Again, we are saying, let the full report come. Right now, we are having some piece and meal approach. We are having some data is missing. And based on that, you cannot make your full assumption or full guess. Last thing that they are saying here is, you can see here, this is a editorial slightly critical of the government. Now what they are saying is, number one, every 5 years I told you that NSSO does this survey. Last time when they had done in 2017-18, this consumption survey was done, it was rejected by the government saying that there were quality issues. They said that data was not entirely correct. Government was unhappy with this. So in this editorial, first thing that this editorial is saying that see, census has not taken place since 2011 and we don't have any idea when the census will happen. In that scenario, in the absence of the census, the government coming out with this in itself is a good thing. But last time the government had rejected this. Now in this article they are saying maybe why government rejected it is because you all know this had come immediately after the demonetization. And the editorial is saying that most probably the survey had captured the, I would say, harmful effects or the bad effects of this demonetization, specifically on India's large informal economy. They are also saying that later on also the implementation of GST, all this would have impacted the last survey. So now they are saying that similarly, we should not take the present data also, or we should take the present data with a pinch of salt. Why that? The editorial is saying that please remember, India was suffering from COVID. And when the COVID got over, after almost 2 years, there was a pent-up demand. Economists use this word. If I give you a simple example, for 2 years, Rohit Kumar was sitting in the house, had not traveled. The moment restrictions got over, Rohit Kumar started to think, oh, let me go to Himalayas, let me go to Northeast, oh, I should cover Goa also. So that was his pent-up demand which started to come because for the last 2 years, he had not done that. So this editorial is saying that the surveys should remember that the numbers which you are surveying and getting right now may be because of this also. And again they are saying that till the time the complete data does not come, we should not speak about this. But then they have also spoken some things. And what they are speaking, for example, the monthly per capita consumer expenditure, they are saying has risen by 33.5% in the urban areas and 40.4% in rural India. So their point is that see, the government is saying that see, these numbers have risen like anything. But again, the editorial is saying that government is forgetting that while you are talking about this and saying that the incomes are going up, I showed you the prints, the datas. You are saying that the inequality is going down. You are saying poverty is going down. But then the editorial is saying government should remember that if you look at these numbers, it only implies, let me change the pen color, it only implies a 3.5% compounded annual growth rate, that is CAGR. This is for the rural area. For the urban, it is also less than that only, that is only around 3. So the editorial is saying, if you look at this growth that has happened, rural area is only 3.5, urban area is only 3. And if you look at the inflation, if you look at the GDP growth rates in this period, this number appears to be well below that. Apart from this, they are saying that of course the fact that the expenditure on cereals are going down for the first time has gone below 50% in rural homes, below 40% in urban homes, clearly lead us to look into the CPI weightages. But then again they are saying that please look into this data because from the time of the survey this had started to happen, inflation has only gone up. So their conclusion is any change with regards to GDP, poverty, recalibration of poverty, inflation, everything should only happen after you have got the complete data. With that, we are done with the sixth topic of the day. You can see the findings, whatever is there, I have written over here. So don't worry if you don't want to write on your own. The findings I have given to you here. Coming to the next topic, page 14, Supreme Court is issuing contempt notice to Patanjali and MD Balkrishna. Now, what has happened? They have been given this contempt for bringing advertisements or publishing advertisements of those products which violate, everyone please see this law, Drugs and Magic Remedies Objectionable Advertisements Act 1954 and its rule. And the problem is, Supreme Court yesterday clearly said that this has been done in spite of the fact that you have violated the assurances that you had given to us in the month of November of last year. So what is the problem here? The problem is Supreme Court is saying that you people, that is Patanjali, you are doing a misleading advertisement. What is misleading? They are saying that we give permanent relief. From what? From diseases like BP, obesity, asthma. So, the Supreme Court yesterday said, how can you say that this is permanent relief? In the Supreme Court, the judge had said that there are only two types of permanent relief. Either the person is dead. If the person is dead, permanent relief. Or else, the person is cured. There is no other permanent relief. So in this case, the Supreme Court judges, yesterday this was Justice Amanullah, he asked the lawyers that how can you even say that you are giving permanent reliefs from this? Now coming to this, please understand, this law was brought in 1950s. The reason for this was to stop, the misleading advertisements where they would say, we have got magic qualities, apply it once and no pain throughout the life. To curb these things, it was done. Because, there were many products in the market who would claim that they are, magic wands. Unfortunately, guys, this has remained only on paper. Let me tell you, one of the two problems I have with this law is, first problem I have with this law is that this has remained only on paper. How can you have a law which is already there in 1954, enacted in 1954, and you all tell me, many of you observe these cable channels. I won't name people, but I know many of our film stars, celebrities, they keep on coming and, they proclaim, I use this dawa and I have become, this. They keep on doing this. In spite of that, it is happening. So this means clearly this has remained on paper. Number two is this law is outdated. I was reading about this. In one of the articles, it was mentioned that out of 50 plus diseases that are mentioned, almost 14 are now curable. Their cure is available. Plus, how it is outdated, it does not mention diseases like AIDS. So the problem with this is, Mr. Balkrishna, who is the MD of Patanjali, violating this branding that they can cure all this is a violation of 1954. And the fact that, on top of the fact that in November the government had clearly said, and I remember I was reading in the morning, it was on November 21st the directive had been given to the company, do not do anything like this. Next day itself, Baba Ramdev, everyone, next day itself, Baba Ramdev had done a press conference. Now, yesterday in the Supreme Court, when it was asked, Mr. Ramdev, how is he associated with Patanjali? The lawyers gave a vague answer saying he's a yoga guru and he is a sannyasi. Nothing wrong with both the thing. But then to say that he is not associated with Patanjali would be totally wrong, because you buy the products of Patanjali, you will see a lot of times there pictures of Mr. Ramdev is there. Now yesterday, let me tell you again, see, we have to cover all the aspects. Yesterday in the Supreme Court also said, ask the center, have you taken any action? Have you taken any action against them? Center yesterday replied that this is the prerogative of the states. They have to look into this. But then again I remembered that during COVID, Baba Ramdev had come with this coronal tablets, this Divya Anu Tel, and you can see Swasari, Vati, these are some of their products. And regarding this coronal, Center had specifically asked Patanjali to stop all the promotions of any medicine that they say cures COVID-19. Center had clearly said that till the time there is no cure, there is no research, you cannot say this. And they had, asked Patanjali to refrain from advertising these kits. So it's not that center has not done, they have done some things in the past also. Very interesting article, very interesting answer the lawyer of the other side had given, that Baba Ramdev, if you see him, he is everything and nothing at the same time when it comes to Patanjali. Now the next listing is of March 19th. We will see some more action on this, but then please keep in mind this particular law, and please remember this much, that the Patanjali is being seen by the Supreme Court for what they are doing. Moving to the next topic, yesterday the Ladakh administration has formed a recruitment board for non-gadgeted posts. Why I am covering this? Because on 20th February, I had already told you that the Ladakh civil society had been asking the central government to give them statehood. And at this moment, their demands were statehood, give them the 6th schedule for the constitution, or bring them under this schedule, and constitution of a public service commission for Ladakh. You all can see this we have discussed on 20th February. Now today, in the newspaper it has come that the Lieutenant Governor's administration of Ladakh has announced the constitution of the Subordinate Services Staff Selection Board 4S1B for the Union Territory to recruit the non-gadgeted posts. This is coming in the wake of the talks that are going on between the Home Ministry and the representatives of Ladakh. These bodies, they are agitating for the statehood. I've already said 6th schedule, and the most important, Public Service Commission. To some extent, this point has been accepted here. Very small article. We have covered it in a very big length earlier. Not going to go further in this. Nothing else is there. Just remember, one thing has been accepted. Do try to remember 4S1B. That would do. So this is a constitution of a Subordinate Services Staff Selection Board. Moving ahead. IR, page 18, in the international relations, EU is worried as Macron is hinting at Western troops in Ukraine. Trust me, you have studied a lot on Russia, Ukraine. What is happening? French President Mr. Macron is saying, we will take whatever, we will do whatever to stop Russia, so that Russia does not win the war. Now, whatever it takes. Now, this is a line which is taking it to an extreme end, because the allies only are questioning. No, we haven't said anything like this. You can see the Slovak Prime Minister, no need to remember the name, Robert Fico, accused by the critics, he is always accused that he is on the side or is cozy with Moscow, said that there was disunity on this issue amongst European leaders. Similarly, Sweden, which yesterday joined NATO or day before yesterday, their prime minister also said or poured cold water. It's not on the cards at all for the moment. Similarly, German Chancellor, what was agreed from the beginning amongst ourselves also applies to the future, namely that there will be no soldiers on Ukrainian soil sent there by European state or NATO states. So clearly, if you all see, let me show you. Number one, yesterday only I was discussing the NATO members. Out of these NATO members, France is having some other ideas. But then there is no unanimity on this issue as far as the other NATO members are concerned. And some of them, very, very important NATO members like Germany, Slovakia, and even not written here, but Sweden. Similarly, there is another point written here, EU. If you all have not studied, 24th February, I taught you EU. It's a 27 nation bloc. That day we had studied that they had put more bans on Russia. So this is your members of EU. Again, some were original members, all these on the western side. Then some joined in 95, the Sweden and Finland. Some joined in 2004. You can see all this. So this map we had studied that day on 24th February. Lastly, everyone, if you look here, Kremlin, that is Russia, has made it very, very clear. If NATO comes this side, it is crossing that thin line which both the sides had not crossed. And if that happens, there will be inevitable confrontation between the two sides. So hopefully the NATO forces do not go and fight on the Ukrainian soil. Hopefully this issue gets resolved as quickly as possible. So this is again an article done earlier. Now the next article, I said so many times we have seen this. Israel is ready to pause its war in Gaza during Ramzan. Joe Biden is saying, and Biden is saying that Israel has most probably agreed to pause its offensive during upcoming Muslim holy month if Hamas releases a few hostages. However, all this is, according to Biden, based on agreement to release some hostages by Hamas. Let me tell you, Israel and Hamas, they both had downplayed that there is any breakthrough right now. Even though the talks are going on between US, Egypt, Qatar, they all are trying to resolve this matter as quickly as possible and do not want that the fight should happen during the holy month of Ramzan. Because if the fights happen during the holy month of Ramzan, as there is a fear, it might engulf in more and more areas. But then the whole problem here is that all this is based on if Hamas releases a few hostages, then only there can be any agreement on this particular issue. For any ceasefire deal to be successful, very, very important that Hamas releases a few of the hostages, then only there can be any ceasefire. Now, if you all see, everyone, 24th February, Israel had said, will go for a control in the post-war Gaza. Similarly, on 21st February, US had vetoed UN vote on Gaza ceasefire. 20th February, you can see this news item comes from here. Israel had said that they will continue to fight during Ramzan unless Hamas frees hostages. Palestinians had accused Israelis of apartheid at the ICJ. Similarly, on 2nd February also we read about this article in a great detail. 19th February, Gaza peace prospects remain distant. 19th February only US, brings another veto on the same issue. So if I tell you, again I'll repeat, this is one topic that we have done the maximum number of times in the past few days. Moving ahead. 10,000 genome project completed, says government. Very, very important article. Now, first of all, which department is looking into this? The Department of Biotechnology. They have made an official announcement that see, we have completed this 10,000 genome project. Now, anyone who does not know what is genome, please remember, it is the entire set of DNA instructions that are found in a cell. So genome is that. Now if you understand, what is this 10,000 genome project? Basically, the government of India wants to have a reference database of whole genome sequences from India only. That is, Indians, we have a different types of genes, different, ethnicities, different type of people, and because of that, a lot of things get affected. For example, somebody would be affected by a disease much more than somebody else because their genome sequencing would be very, very different. So in 2006 itself, we had completed our first complete human genome in India. Now, as I said, our population is almost 1.3 billion and we have over more than 4,600 population groups. So some of the most important organizations of our country, colleges like IISc, Bengaluru, the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad, these all are working on this. So everyone, please understand, this is very important because India has a huge population, at the same time has a very diverse population. Now, because of the diversity, we have a lot of genetic variants. Now, some of these variants, they might be very, very unique only for India. And that's why for unique sets, you need to customize the drugs and you need to customize the therapies. So many institutions, in the last page, last line I told you, IISc, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru and others, and overall some 20 institutions are working on this in order to have the genome sequencing for all this group. Now please understand, in this article there is a word mentioned, and let me take another. The word is that many of our population groups, they are also endogamous. What is endogamous? Basically, in sociology or anthropology, you study this. This is basically the custom of marrying only within the limits of a particular community, clan, or tribe. So many people, they get married within their communities, and you all can understand many times because a lot of population groups in our country are endogamous. So what happens is that this genetic diversity gets more proclaimed or much more harder, and we might have distinct variations, and many times, as I said, disease causing mutations, they get amplified within this group. So within marrying within the clan or within the tribe sometimes would make this disease causing mutations much more harder. Once we have the entire genome sequencing for the entire population diversity, the good thing would be our diagnostic methods will become better. We can develop much more personalized drugs. We can improve the gene therapy, and we can even throw light on the individual susceptibility to a disease. A person X may be more susceptible to a particular disease than a person Y, depending on the variation between their genomes. So that's why this is a very, very important, I would say, project, which, as you can see, has been completed, and this is being spoken by the government. Let us move to the next topic. You can see Simplipal seeks more female tigers from other regions. Now, why are they seeking more tigers? First of all, Simplipal is in Odisha. If you don't know, let me show you. Slightly, this red dot should be slightly here. It would be here. You can see this is the map of Odisha, and A lot of green cover, good. Simplipal is here. Apart from that, many times you must have studied about Bhitarkanika is here, Gahir Matha is here, of course Nandankanan Wildlife Sanctuary is here, and if you have read about the others also great, but these are some of the very, very important wildlife sanctuaries, tiger reserves which are there in Odisha. And Simplipal Simplipal is going to be studied by us. Now in Odisha, Simplipal is asking for more female tigers. Why? Because they are concerned that there is a too big number of pseudo-melanistic tigers. Now what is this pseudo-melanistic tigers? Please see here. You all can see, and if you all see this black bands that can be seen on them. So if you all can observe this, this is a very abnormal dark, or you can say black coating, which we can see in these tigers. And this is known as your pseudo-melanistic. Now pseudo, you all know, false. So pseudo-melanistic means false colored. So why it is called false colored? Let me tell you here only. That means they have very dark skin, or due to pigmentation to skin or hair, which is known as melanin. So this is your melanistic tiger. Now the problem here is, they have written to National Tiger Conservation Authority. They are saying the good things right now, writing letter, good thing. The good thing is they have found 30 tigers, very good thing. And out of those 30 tigers, 24 adult tigers are in Simplipal Tiger Reserve, which has the largest share of the state's tiger population. And they only house all the adult female tigers also in the state. Now the thing is, though you don't have to remember this, the numbers are given in this article. According to the survey that they did, they are saying state has got 30 tigers. Out of 24, out of those 24, Simplipal are there. Simplipal only has got all the female tigers also. Now, there are 13 adult tigers, 7 female and 6 male, which are melanistic. And all these are found only in Simplipal. Now, very, very important line which you should remember. No other wild habitat in the world has pseudo-melanistic tiger, which is found in Odisha, in Simplipal. Now, they are saying why only Odisha? The presence of this is mainly because some interbreeding would have happened in the tiger population that is in the reserve. Now they are saying we are not worried about this interbreeding, we are not worried about this, number of tigers that are huge here. But then if we have some more wild tigers, it would be better. One of the things that they are saying is that the tigers of Simplipal, they live much more in isolated habitat. Earlier also governments have tried to bring tigers from outside, but those attempts have failed. Sometimes successfully they got relocated, but other times because of poaching they have been killed. So this is the case. Now I'm not going into the reason why this melanistic tigers are there, because you can all understand that there must be something related to gene technology here. So if in nutshell, if I have to say, as I said, they are having geographical isolation. So the genetically related individuals, they are mating amongst themselves. Because they have been mating for many generations, this has resulted into this melanistic tigers in Simplipal. Now, before I go further, just 2-3 lines on Simplipal which we should definitely know. Made a tiger reserve in 1956. No need to remember a year, but then it's a tiger reserve. Later also brought under Project Tiger. also a biosphere reserve, a part of UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserve. You can see here Simplipal is in the Mayurbhanj, elephant reserve also. So they share some part with this also. So here there are 3 protected areas. One is Simplipal, another is, if I change the pen color, the another one is Hadgar. No, it's not working. I'll take black. The next one is Hadgar, and the third one is Kuldiha. All these 3 protected areas, they are popularly also known as Mayurbhanj, elephant reserve. So this is Simplipal is in your Mayurbhanj district, has clearly elephants also. And do keep an eye on the other important biosphere reserves or tiger reserves that are there here, or the wildlife sanctuaries, whatever is there in Odisha, do keep an eye on them. Moving ahead, not a very important topic, but then Railways has restored passenger train fares. What had happened is Indian Railways, they had stopped, in nutshell if I say, the second class ordinary fares or passenger trains. All such trains, they were renamed as Memo Express or Express Specials. Now you all understand, passenger trains, they stop at all these stations. Usually the poor people, they are the passengers of these trains. The small vendors, they sit on these trains. The daily laborers, they are using this because this is the cheapest means to commute. But then the central government had changed this, and this had clearly resulted in that the prices of the ticket fares had gone up. But then why did I choose this? The news came, and within a one day, the central government has redesignated, brought the fares down, have reverted, sent out alert to all the zonal railways to go back to the older fares. So that's why I wanted to show you, this is the power of positive journalism. Something came, the central government or those who were in charge of this, they clearly saw this, they went back on this, they changed this, and this helps. Last article for the day, and nothing, I'm giving you, why it's not working, just a second. On page 22, science, there is a topic, Mimosa pudica, also known as touch me not plant. Now it's hardly one article. Let me not explain it today. Let me ask you people, if you read this, tell me there are 2 terms, pulvinus and pulvimules. Any one of you, give in the comment box that this touch me not your plant. I'm not asking you why does it shrink, because when you try to touch it, it tries to shrink itself. But then in this article, 2 terms are given. Please comment in the comment box that in your view, what is the meaning of these 2 terms. Finally, the last question for the day, the 2 mains question. One is, discuss India's recent advancements in space exploration. How do these developments reflect India's ambitions in space and its efforts towards self-reliance in space technology? It's a very big question. Still try to write in 150 words or go for 250. Discuss the implications of the findings from the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. How do these findings reflect on the economic trajectory of India? What challenges and opportunities do these findings present for policymakers? Another question, 250 words, 15 marker. Lot has to be said on this. A lot is still pending. Let us see in the future classes. So with that, I'll wrap up the session. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you liked it, do like it, do comment it, do subscribe it, do comment that whether you are attending the lectures or not. From our side, what extra can we do? We'll be more than willing to do that. 3 announcements. Coming Saturday, 6 p.m. Mega workshop, a free workshop on YouTube, how to prepare for 2025 exam. Second, this Saturday, we are starting our new batch in Delhi. Economics will begin. Third, You have the forms. If you want a one-to-one counseling, you can fill them. We would be more than happy to help you. With that, goodbye. Let us meet again tomorrow. Same platform, same time. Thank you. Goodbye.